Hi guys! What's this? New filming location? Did she get a tripod? Yes, she did. So now that we are well into 2015, I thought so far we could do a review of the things that I have watched in 2015, and I'm going to break this up into two parts. The first part is this, which is looking at everything that is on their first season. Therefore, this video can hopefully not be spoilerish for people, because obviously not loads of seasons of information and things that are important to the show have happened, so therefore you have time to catch up, and this might inspire you to watch some stuff. And then the second part is looking at shows that are on multiple seasons now and reviewing what I thought of those seasons, overall of the show, and hopefully inspire all the viewing. As you all know, university meant that I was quite slow on the reading. However, after coming in from a long day at university, I somehow did have time to watch a lot of stuff. So hopefully we can get through quite a good few things in this, and they're going to be fun, exciting, and inspire you to watch some awesome shows. So shall we begin? I think we shall. So I thought I might break this into some categories, and it seemed only right that the first category that I should choose is female empowerment. Doing it for the girls. And it also seemed only right that I should begin this by talking about Marvel's Agent Carter. Peggy Carter is a character from the Marvel universe that since her first appearance in Captain America to every single cameo that she's ever appeared in anything Marvel ever since, I've just absolutely adored her awesome, sassy, kick-assery-ness that is just beautiful, wonderful, and so inspiring. Therefore, it was only right that she should have her own show. Set in post-war America after all the kick-ass of Hydra and Nazis. Nazi Hydra, Hydra Nazis. One of the same thing, who knows? It confuses me too. But after all the kick-assery has been done, Peggy has sadly found herself in the world of man, where within the SSR she is seen as little more than a glorified secretary. That is not what is deserving of our fabulous goddess of a woman. Therefore, when Howard Stark, unsurprisingly, finds himself framed for his mad creations and selling it to bad people, let's just say, Peggy finds herself with the opportunity to become a double agent. Therefore, secretly and silently, in a world where she may perhaps be expected to prove her own self-worth to man, she proves that she can equal to, if not be better than, all men. She has no need to prove herself, and that really is the glorious part of the show. Not only was it showing the struggles of a single woman during this period within America, it proved that she didn't need to prove her self-worth. She could go and accomplish all these things, and she didn't need the credit for it, as much as she deserved it, because she knew what she was doing. And she knew that she was awesome. She didn't need to prove herself to them. She didn't need to affirm her own self-worth, because she knew her own self-worth. And that's an extremely important message that came with the show. I'm so glad that it got its second season. I'm highly anticipating it coming this fall, I do believe. I probably should have checked that. But it is so good, it is so glorious, and definitely if you have not given it a go, check it out. The next show that I want to talk about in female empowerment is a comedy. And the title of the show alone, I had to watch it. It's Jane the Virgin. Technically, Jane the Virgin began at the end of 2014, however I only discovered about the gloriousness of it in 2015, and it actually technically ended in 2015, so it still counts. Our main protagonist, Jane, who rather horrifyingly, on going to get a good old smear test, finds herself accidentally being artificially inseminated with a specimen. And if that wasn't good enough, the person that inseminated her happened to be the sister of the specimen's owner. It sounds pretty messed up, right? Right? A whole host of characters' lives kind of come intertwined by this misplaced specimen. But it's so much more than that. In a sense, this show is chaotic, but it's beautiful, wonderful, and heartwarming on every level. Whenever I was describing it to people to go, you have to watch it, I kept saying that it's kind of like Ugly Betty meets Pushing Daisies, but I don't even think that that does it justice at all because it's so much better than what Ugly Betty was. What is awesome about the show, however, it is about a family of truly strong, independent women who do not need the men in their lives. The men in their lives have to accept them as who they are and as their female unit, which is such a strong thing and such a beautiful thing. What I also loved is that although Jane is portrayed as this bookish girl and very educated and smart and fearful of doing wrong and getting in trouble, it's not done in a typical derogative way that a lot of shows tend to do of these geek and other girls. You know, she's not this typical girl. It's not done in this way that makes you cringe. Female portrayals should not be broken into these two categories of the girl next door and the other girl. You know, this girl that's so unique and so different. It's borderline. It just doesn't work anymore. Now it's time to talk about the DC show-off that happened this year. And of course I am talking about Gotham versus The Flash. Gotham aired in 2014 and ended in 2015, I do believe, as well did The Flash. It aired in 2014, ended in 2015. Probably should check these things out before I start recording. In my mind, there is no contest in this battle. The winner is The Flash. Ah! Too cliche? Too cliche. As I have mentioned, and it's going to be no secret, I am more of a Marvel girl than I am a DC girl. And I think this is kind of what happened here, but not in a bad way. I think The Flash is just so much Marvel in character than anything else DC has ever done. Maybe people are probably going to challenge me on this. Since the very first episode, right through, I have been captivated the whole way along. After an accident makes Barry Allen, our main protagonist, the impossible, we go through so many adventures of him just trying to do good and right by the people that he knows, people that he loves, and just being a general looking out for everybody because he is a good person and he cares. There's maybe something so selfless feeling about Barry in my mind. Maybe. Since the very first episode I've been captivated. I've loved watching the storylines progress, and I love how kind of, although it leads to an ultimate bigger picture, every episode in its own right is kind of its own entity that you can appreciate and love for what it is. And I just love all the relationships come together. It's so beautiful, it's so heartwarming, and I love everybody. I don't know if there's like a character that I don't like. Perhaps Iris on occasion. Iris can be a bit annoying, and actually the one flaw I will say about The Flash is kind of the awkward love situation. I don't mind it. It's not as bad as some other things that we could highlight as a show for awkward and annoying love situations, but that's definitely not what makes the show for me. The whole way along, there's so much humour and action combined in a way, and it's heartwarming. I just love it. I love it. My mantra the whole way through the show has been, he can be redeemed! And anybody who's watched it will know what I mean. I'm not spoiling anything, I promise. Maybe he wasn't redeemed. See, I'm not necessarily spoiling anything. On the flip side, we have Gotham. Very typical DC. Batman's... It's not even a Batman origin story because Bruce, although in it, very little to do with it. Which is fine. We're far more looking at Commissioner Gordon, or Jim Gordon, before he is Commissioner Gordon. Kind of the backstory to his life, to how he got to where he is, and looking at kind of the beginnings of everything. Starting with Bruce's parents' death and kind of how that ultimately makes him to lead to be what he is, and kind of the introduction. It's kind of funny to see how the villains kind of become, you can see their start and how they get progressively more and more evil and who they are and their characteristics. As a show, it is typically melancholic in a more typical DC way, and of course it's going to be. It's related to Batman, but I don't know. I really didn't like Gotham. I think I enjoyed the first quarter. Then I started to get annoyed as it started to get to mid-season, and then I just stopped liking it. In fact, it took me ages to watch the last half. I like nobody. I like nobody. Maybe Alfred. I like Selena Kyle. But even the last couple of episodes, she was starting to annoy me. And Alfred, no, I do like Alfred. I can't even lie there, can I? No, I do. I'll always love Alfred. But it just annoyed me, and I don't like anybody, and I don't believe any of the relationships. I'm sorry. Not a fan. However, if we're going to talk about stuff not being the way they typically are, I think we should talk about the Netflix original that is Marvel's Daredevil. I think everybody that went into Daredevil kind of did so with a hesitance and anticipation because the movie has a bad rep, let's be honest. Though rather secretly, I kind of like the film. People are going to hate me now, aren't they? However, after watching the first episode, I think it's pretty unanimous that as a world, we were all kind of screaming, Ben Affleck who? However, this is where the irony kicks in because though being Marvel, it is a lot more DC in nature. It's a lot darker, it's a lot more melancholic. There is humour, but the humour is a lot more of a darker humour. And it's sad. It's got very many sad moments. It's a show that's going to get that good old knife and stab you in the heart and rip everything out. What? It is extremely dark. It is extremely violent. Graphically violent, which was done really well, might I say. Done very well. Matt Murdock, our main protagonist who will become the Daredevil, is this character who was blinded at a young age, and from then he kind of gains these sensory abilities that he was able to hone in on, plus training himself after his father's unfortunate death, murder, that he kind of feels responsible for in a non-direct way, but that it was his fault, leads him on this path to train and to kind of be this good within society to make things run and operate smoothly within his town. Kind of like he has to be this bedeviled guardian looking over everything and making sure all is right and well. And it's interesting because it's looking at these ideas of, can you fight evil with good, or is it a case of sometimes doing things through the legal means, as I'm sure our beloved Foggy Bear would prefer that they were able to do everything legality and make sure things are right. But does that always work when there's people in the world that can get into the system and get under the system and manipulate the system? And is it a case of sometimes, and not in a bad way, like there's two different levels, do you have to fight evil with evil? This sounds like I'm advocating do bad things, but I'm not. I don't mean it like that. I mean it in the sense of, do you know, kind of, when you know somebody is getting a punishment for a crime that they've done and it doesn't match the crime, and you're the person sitting there and you're thinking all these horrible things in your head going, they should have got this should have been done to them, the exact same thing that they did on that person should be done to them but 10 times worse. It's these kind of ideas. Is it a case of, I'm not saying I'm not saying break the legal system and that it doesn't work, I'm not saying that at all, but it's kind of this issue. It's like borderlines, people, what I always talk about, not always so clear cut. Perhaps I should stop. But it's that interesting idea of, he wants to fight to make sure that everybody within his area, within his home, his town, his backyard as such, is protected and safe. Visually it is spectacular, choreographed in fight scenes is fantastic. Like I said, it is very graphically, explicitly quite violent, but it's done really well. And I just loved it, and it will break your heart. And the final show that we're going to talk about, which I'm going to call a little unexpected treasure, is Netflix original Sense8. There have been quite a lot of negative and uncertain reviews about this, which was a benefit to me because I went into watching this with low expectations. And guys, I loved it. I loved it. It was a bit confusing at first. However, as the story progressed and we get more involved and understand more about each person's life, I just became more and more invested and truly loved and cared about everybody and what was going to happen to them. We follow a host of characters spread out across the entire world who are telepathically, I believe is the right term, connected both in memory, emotionally and physically. Is such an interesting concept. Each person has their own kind of unique skills that they're good at, and therefore when a difficult situation arises, they're able to come together as one and be able to overcome these difficult situations. It's almost quite like a hive mentality. But obviously, as you can expect, there's dangers from this, as they're kind of perceived as this threat and they have to overcome these difficult struggles that are going to face them. It is so emotional, guys. Like, it's so emotional. Although there are some characters that you're perhaps going to like more than others, it's truly beautiful, and I just love the relationships with each other. And Riley, oh my gosh, Riley. I have so much love for Riley. She's just like a little precious bruised peach that I just want to wrap and protect and... So that was the shows that are currently on their first seasons that I have watched. I know there's lots of shows that I have not watched yet, like Mr. Robot. Haven't watched Mr. Robot yet. The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, that's what it's called, right? It's Netflix original as well. Haven't watched it yet, so there's lots of things that I do want to watch. If there's anything else that you can recommend to me that's on its first season, let me know down below. Look out for part 2 for things that are in multiple series or continuing ongoing runs of series of TV shows. As always, lists to my other social medias will be listed down below, and if you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you have not already, please do subscribe, join our family, you'll be most warmly welcome, and until the next video guys, bye. So it's that time of the month again where we look at the books that I have managed to read in the previous month, which was July.